to be a leader, you need to be, or to be a good leader, you need to be aware of everyone else that you're working with, all the other stakeholders, how they're seeing what's going on, how they're seeing you, how they see themselves. And there's different levels of depth with this. And I've here have a distinction with two different levels of depth. The first level, which I call first order role taking, is walking in someone else's shoes. So, yes, if I was Betty, who I'm doing this project at work, and I said this to her, but I was her, then how would I feel? So that's first order role taking, is pretending that you're in their situation. And how would I feel? What would I think? What would I do? That's a developmental achievement if you're doing that fairly regularly in the interactions in your life. When you get in a fight with your romantic partner, if you're like, well, how would I feel if she did that to me, or if he did that to me? If I had happened what she just happened to her, how would I feel? First order role taking. Second order role taking requires a later developmental achievement, which is the ability to bracket your own self-system, your own meaning-making system. So the question isn't, if I was you, how would I feel in your shoes? Or if I was in your shoes, how would I feel? It's, if I was you, if I had your way of interpreting the situation, not mine, if I had your way of feeling about yourself. Like, my dad's a great example of this distinction. Is he sees, he's only doing first order role taking. He sees people begging, lying on the street. He's like, I don't get it. If I was them, I would just get up and like go get a job. But he doesn't, he's not being them in their situation, he's being him in their situation. And so he doesn't get what it feels like to feel pathetic, or to feel like I can't do it, or to feel like not having the confidence, or whatever, all those things that we are usually unconsciously taking for granted about what it is to be, and we project on everyone else and wonder why they don't act the same as us. If we're doing that, we're doing first order role taking.
Just real quick, are you guys seeing the difference between role taking and perspective taking? Yeah, that's clear.
No.
Just 2 sentences on it. The perspective taking stuff, particularly the way that I am approaching it and the way that we looked at it, is working at the elemental level. So like your interior right now, or the way that you're viewing his interior right now. It's like the data, it's the bits and pieces. When you ask the question like, man, how did my father feel when he got back from the war and my mom got pregnant early and they didn't have the house and like blah, 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 and you're trying to take full embodiment of someone's situation. It doesn't have to be in the past, it could be right now, like what's Jesse feeling up in front of the room as a presenter? To take his role, the role he's playing right now in this room, that requires a tremendous amount of perspective taking to actually fully do. So role taking is bigger, it's broader than perspective taking. And to do role taking accurately requires accurate perspective taking. Probably dozens, if not hundreds, of really small perspectives depending on the role you're taking.
There are a lot of comments in those 2 sentences.
Yeah.
2 clean sentences, come on, easily.
So, here's they're probably just doing first order role taking at most. Maybe they're just putting their hands together. But maybe, I mean, almost for sure not. She's feeling what it'd be like if she was trapped in there. Or she could be feeling like what it'd be like to just be looking and not trapped. Or that would be first order. And second order would be like she knows what it's like to be him in there. And he understands what it's like to be her. And for that requires, I don't know, it's sort of a mystery how we know. But it's like deeply connecting with people to really feel out of their skin and see out of their eyes and be them with them as you're also yourself.
A question, to what extent do you need factual information for, say, either perspective taking or role?
Yeah. I don't think anyone has the final answer on that at all, but I do think earlier action logics would rely on factual information more, like for me to know what you're thinking, I'm maybe well trained in like watching the nuances in your face and your body language, and I'm sort of reconstructing it based on right-hand quadrant things that I can see. Or if you speak, then I can hear your tone of voice, and I can hear like tension in your voice, or the speed of your voice, the loudness of your voice tells me something. And so you can be very skilled at picking up a lot of cues. And I don't know about the second part, but it feels true that there's also another way. There's like some way of just being with someone.
Deep resonance.
Yeah. It's like a tuning fork. A tuning fork vibrates at the frequency that the air around is vibrating. And I think we can be tuning forks for each other and somehow pick up vibration is, I'm hesitant to use that because it's used very much in New Age, but we can vibrate like them, we can tune into them somehow, intuitively connect with them, and then vibrate with them, and then feel what they're feeling, and it doesn't rely on the physical cues nearly so much. So I think there's both. Yes.
In my work as a consultant, we have this stakeholder game, and it's informed by Hellinger's family constellation, and it doesn't go that deep on the psychology stuff. But we do have a playing field, and it has those Playmobil puppets, and so you have an organization, and it's working on a project. They have to achieve a certain goal, and they have to work together with a lot of different stakeholders. So what you do is you get your team, your core team together, and you place all the important stakeholders on the map. You know what you want to achieve, so you have a shared vision, and then you start looking at, okay, what's their position, what's the distance, how are they standing toward me, but also toward the other stakeholders. What are they thinking, what are the main barriers and stuff like that. And you can also do it if you don't have any data yet. So it's just getting your assumptions on the table, and then you start working further on it, and then you can start asking the question to that stakeholder. But it helps you it helps you as a group to at least get the assumptions on the table that you have on those stakeholders, and then you can move further on it. So you can do it with a tremendous amount of data, but you can also just do it with a little bit of imagination.
And that's the next part, and the final of the 4 competency areas is context setting agility. So as a leader, you need to set frames and make a vision for the future with other people, to decide what to do, to orient where we're going together. And as a leader, there's, as you're bringing up right here, a bunch of different sources of information about how to set the context for what the organization should do or what you should do in your life. Presence, or bring to mind, a decision that you're trying to make in your life, an important decision. And when you have it, just raise your hand.
So could you repeat that?
Bring to mind an important decision in your life that you're in right now.
You haven't made it yet.
No. Okay, so now we're going to briefly go through 4 different sources of intelligence to make this decision. We don't need to know what each other's decision is. But first, rational thought-based analysis. So just take a piece of paper. And just try to break the decision down into different factors. In a very simple ways, just put pros and cons of each of the decision points. And when you're ready, just let go of your thoughts. And